I'm starting with a quick and easy sketch. Add a line at almost 1/4 of the paper. Now I'm gonna add a small river at the bottom. Now I'm going to add 2 houses onto the right side, a tiny house and a bit bigger one behind that. Now I'm adding a door for both the houses, and that's our sketch. Let's start painting. I'm using my size number 12 brush and I'm adding a light coat of water onto the entire sky. Make sure you're not adding any paint into the house. That line is your limit. Add the water only till that line. For the sky, I'm going with a light tone of indigo and I'm just adding some paint only on the top. The remaining of the area I leave it as it is. I'm not adding any paint onto the bottom part. Just add some light washes of indigo only on the top. And that's the sky. Before the background dries, I'm switching to permanent yellow-orange. You can mix a little of any kind of orange to gamboge yellow and get a similar color. And I'm going to quickly apply that over this line before the background dries. You just need to drop in some paint and let that blend into the background. There is no particular shape or pattern that you need to follow. You can apply this color until you hit that tiny house. You could see how nicely the outer edge is spreading into the background. Just leave it as it is, let it do its thing. Now I'm switching to burnt sienna and I'm going to add some darker tones at the bottom line. To get that foggy effect, you need to add in your colors while the background is wet, and that's why I'm adding this burnt sienna over to the wet orange background. Now I'm going to repeat the same thing using a little of Payne's Grey. I'm dropping some Payne's Grey at the very bottom line. I'm very happy with the way the orange color blended into the background. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the right side. I will be using indigo this time. So add a coat of water, then drop in some indigo where you want to create that foggy forest effect. You might have noticed I didn't add a wet coat to the entire background. I just added the wet coat only to a small area which is right above that roof, and I dropped in some indigo and that is nicely blending into the background. In a few seconds time, this will nicely blend into the background, create a foggy effect, and that's the result. I love how the orange and indigo merged into each other. Alright, now let's go ahead with the water. I will be adding a darker tone of indigo over these lines which we added. You just need to follow the lines that you had drawn. Add a darker tone of indigo right at those lines. Once you have added the darker tone of indigo over those lines, you'll just need to take your brush from left to right and just pull it off towards the right side. We will be leaving the right side as it is. We won't be adding any paint over that area. So only over the left side we will be adding some lines like these. You can take a lighter tone of indigo and just add some lines from left to right, and that's it. And that's our river. Now I'm going ahead with these houses. We will leave the roof in white, the paper white I mean. That itself will create a snowy roof effect. We'll go ahead and paint the walls. I'm using a brick red sort of a color. For that I'm mixing crimson red and a little of burnt sienna. When you apply the paint, you can leave a little white gap at this inclined line, which is a roof, to create a snowy effect. And also the door, we will be adding Payne's Grey onto that later. Similarly, leaving a little white gap at the roof line, add paint onto the second house as well. Now I'm adding the same color onto the other remaining walls, leaving a little white gap. Alright, now I'm switching to a detailing brush and using burnt sienna, I'm creating some grassy patterns on the ground. Just add some tiny little details at random places to replicate grass. Maybe I'll add some on the top as well. And now I'm switching to Payne's Grey. Now using Payne's Grey, I will add some dried plants here and there. Along with these plants, I'm thinking of adding a tree right here. Just a single tree that might add a lot more character to our painting. Looks like my orange background hasn't dried completely. Maybe I'll have to wait for a while before I add the remaining of the branches. Some areas are still wet, so it's better I wait. Meanwhile, I'll add some dried plants over the bottom line. Right here, I'm adding some darker lines and scribbles. And few plants here and there. It is just this portion which is yet to dry. Maybe I could add the remaining branches on the top and I could come back to that middle portion later. If you want, you can also add a pine tree. I'm going with a tree which has no leaves at all, so the choice is yours. If you want to add a different kind of a tree, that's totally up to you. While the orange background dries, we could add in chimneys for these two houses. Just add a long tiny rectangle. Now for the second house as well, I'm going to add a tiny rectangle or chimney. Now we need to add shadow of the chimneys on the roof. Using the same Payne's Grey, I'm adding a line, an inclined line which replicates the shadow. Now going again with a darker tone of Payne's Grey and adding paint onto these two doors. We are almost done with this winter scene. I'm taking a lighter tone of Payne's Grey and adding some lines on the ground. Just few random lines with a very light tone of Payne's Grey. You can also use Indigo. I had little of Payne's Grey left on my brush, so I just used that. Now I'm using a white gel pen and adding a white outline for that chimney, just on the left side and on the top side. The same goes for the doors. If you were not able to get a white outline around it, you can add it now. So this is how our painting is looking so far. The last step is to clean up that little tree and then to splatter some snow onto the entire painting. I'll just fix this, just this line of our tree. I'll make it a little thicker. And we are on to the final step. I'm going to take a little white watercolor and I'm going to splatter some snow. And on our main big tree, you can add some snow patches like this. And there you go, that's our second winter painting. I'm really loving that orange and indigo combination. Give this easy winter landscape a try and do share it with me.